Hello, and welcome to Reading Repository. What is the Millionaire Next Door? The Millionaire Next Door represents an accumulation of the author's knowledge and experience relating to wealth generation in the United States. This information was gathered prior to the year of publishing in 1996. Most of the details likely remain true decades later. However, as with all things, change is possible. Let's begin defining some important words used throughout the book. Net worth is your total assets minus your liabilities. What does it mean to be financially wealthy? Many people correlate having over $1 million as being financially wealthy. This book defines someone as financially wealthy based on an expected net worth for their age, annual income, and annual expenses. The calculation for this is as follows: age times pre-tax annual income, then divide by 10, and finally minus the inherited wealth. This is the ideal net worth for you according to the book. What is a PAW, or prodigious accumulator of wealth? A prodigious accumulator of wealth has twice the net worth of the book's calculation. What is an average accumulator of wealth? They have roughly the net worth of the book's calculation. And what is an under accumulator of wealth? They tend to have half or below the net worth of the book's calculation. What is economic outpatient care, or EOC? EOC is financial gifts, subsidies, and acts of kindness from relatives. Here's an incomplete list of examples of common investment assets and what percent of people have them. This includes things like money market accounts, certificates of deposit or CDs, stocks, and rental property. Here are some statements that may help debunk some common misconceptions about the wealthy in the United States. Millionaire status is finite, whether it's for a week or a month or until death. There is no guarantee that if you become a millionaire, you will stay that way. Hyperconsumption, buying lots of things consistently, is what the media shows millionaires doing. While these people may have money to spend, things won't remain that way if they are not earning new money to maintain those spending habits. Their millionaire status may be much shorter than others. A good quote is "big hat, no cattle." It's a useful phrase. A big hat demonstrates the look of a wealthy individual. If that individual only has the big hat and no wealth generating resources, like the cattle, they are all looks. A big hat with no cattle. Someone making $200,000 a year who lives a lavish lifestyle could very well be less financially secure than someone who makes $60K, who lives at or below their means. A decadent doctor cannot maintain their lifestyle without income for as long as a frugal fireman can. Remember, it's easier to purchase products that denote superiority than to actually be superior. Also, it's much easier in America to earn a lot than it is to accumulate wealth. Under 20% of millionaires inherited more than 10% of their wealth. 9 out of 10 wealthy individuals never receive ownership of a family business. Heritage, such as how many years your family has been in the country, is not a major role in determining your opportunity to become a PAW, or prodigious accumulator of wealth. Most people on their path to wealth do not reach that status until they are over 50. The vast majority of America's wealthy have not attended private schools. Not in 30 years did an author meet a millionaire with over 30% of their portfolio in stocks. Usually, it was around 20%. Less than 10% of millionaires are active investors. Most hold their stocks for a long time. Now let's discuss some qualities of the United States wealthy. Some general information. 80% are first-generation wealthy, which means their parents would not be considered wealthy. 4 out of 5 are college graduates. Only 3.5% of US households have over $1 million in net worth. 95% of wealthy households are married. The wealthy in the United States tend to have most of their money invested in things like private businesses, publicly traded equities, and pensions. What are some habitual qualities of PAWs, or prodigious accumulators of wealth? One quality is living below your means. Most millionaires live on less than 7% of their wealth. They spend considerable time, money, and energy on generating financial wealth. Most of them value independence over their social status. Most have not been provided economic outpatient care. The majority do not lease vehicles, and many often work 45 to over 50-hour work weeks. They tend to invest 15 to 20% of their annual income. When they do invest, they tend to invest in areas that they are familiar with. Many of America's wealthy budget and plan their expenses. Per month, they roughly spend 10 hours planning future investments and 8 hours managing current investments. Financial planning is like losing weight. You can't lose it all at once. Even if you do, it's probably going to come right back. It takes consistent effort, maybe a bit more at first, and less effort when you find your routine and hit your consistent targets. People who jog every day don't look like they need to jog every day. That's how they stay fit. Many wealthy individuals set clear daily, weekly, monthly, and lifetime goals, which these can affect and are affected by the budget and expense plans they make. It's important to try and spend less time worrying about things and spend more time trying to improve the situation. The more time you spend worrying, the less time you spend improving things for yourself. It can be hard. Here's a good quote: "The ones who achieve do so by experiencing and conquering obstacles. Courage cannot be developed in an environment free of risks, difficulty, and dangers." What is courage? Courage is not a lack of fear. It's not. Courage is acknowledging your fears and overcoming them. The wealthy usually conversate about their achievements, scholarships, and businesses instead of talking about their income, consumption, and status artifacts like nice watches or new cars. When talking to others, they tend to emphasize the achievements they've made over the consumptions they've had. What are some of the effects of economic outpatient care? Remember, less than 1/5 of millionaires inherited more than 10% of their wealth. It is easier to spend other people's money. And without the practice of conquering obstacles, people may be more likely to worry and less likely to succeed when obstacles are faced. And even more when family conquers the obstacles for them. They may become reliant and even dependent. When children are dependent on parents subsidizing their lifestyle, they may bicker or fight even more, essentially for the parents' favor and a larger share of their wealth. Expensive gifts may seem nice and may pressure the receiver to change their lifestyle to fit the picture. These can even be gifts from friends. Some more negative effects of economic outpatient care. Giving promotes consumption instead of saving and investing. Gift receivers don't always distinguish between their own wealth and the wealth of the gift giver, their parents or their grandparents. 2 out of 3 regular gift receivers who were interviewed claimed that they were self-made when they have received many considerable gifts that contribute to their wealth. Gift receivers tend to be more dependent on things like credit. Gift receivers are much less likely to invest. These problems can be common and may contribute to why many millionaires happen to be first generation wealthy, as in their parents were not so wealthy, especially not wealthy enough to provide these substantial economic outpatient care. 59% of affluent parents or grandparents assist financially in buying a home, and 17% even pay the mortgage. It is equally important not to weaken the weak. This is seen when giving extra financial support to children who may be falling behind. It can make it harder for them to learn how to accumulate wealth, and they often end up becoming more dependent and need even more support in the future. EOC is not always bad. Paying for education and sometimes gifts to grow a business can be positive forms of EOC. Giving often comes from a good place in the heart, even if the consequences can be quite negative. There are many good no-money gifts to give to kids, like an environment that promotes independent thoughts and deeds, or one that cherishes leadership and encourages personal responsibility. The affluent themselves can be a source of wealth. Many are frugal and have times when they are not, like on healthcare, education, their grandchildren, and tools and services that will strengthen them in their business. In those cases, they're often willing to spend a bit more. Careers and businesses that support these desires may find a great market of opportunity. The same can be said for financial planning services, tax planning, estate planning, and more. Even a pawn shop may find benefit from the wealthy, where family members may pawn less sentimental items after a beloved one has passed. Further, the recipients of an affluent estate or children receiving economic outpatient care may offer worthwhile business opportunities. People who receive wealth from the estates of affluent parents have a significantly higher propensity to spend than others. A quote that stood out to me is this: "It is much easier to spend other people's money." The book offers some tips for raising self-sufficient children. Try not to let children see you as wealthy. If they know there is money coming, or they see in you this high consumption lifestyle they feel the need to emulate, children may develop habits of under accumulators of wealth. Discipline and frugality should always be taught. Don't always be so soft. Life won't always be that way. Understand feeling sorry for yourself likely won't improve your situation. Waste not, want not. It is important not to abuse your belongings. Don't waste your parents' money. And remember to put things back where they belong. Here are some miscellaneous things I interpreted during my reading. Minimizing your realized taxable income and maximizing your unrealized income may help generate wealth. Income tax is the single largest annual expenditure for most households. If you want to be wealthy someday, never purchase a home with a mortgage over 2 times your household's annual realized income. Money should never change one's values. If you are gifted a nice suit coat, you may feel pressured to buy nice pants to go with it. Seeds are a lot like dollars. You can eat seeds or sow them. All successful business owners possess significant courage. It takes courage to be evaluated strictly on your own performance. If you want to be happy and independent, minimize discussions that involve receiving other people's money. You can't predict if someone is a millionaire by the type of business they are in. The character of the business owner is more important in predicting their level of wealth than the classification of their business. A rough period for an industry can weed out competition, and those who remain can cover more ground when the pressure subsides. In America, the odds are against women earning high incomes. Women represent 46% of the workforce and less than 20% of workers making over 100,000 annually. They can take your business, but they can't take your intellect. Even though owning a successful business may be lucrative, a business itself can be taken away. It is much harder to take away knowledge, habits, achievements, and things of this nature. They and their value may be much more permanent. Finally, here are what may be some useful resources. The IRS can be a great resource for statistics on wealth in America, such as their quarterly Statistics of Income reports. A good CPA or certified public accountant can be a great resource with budgeting and planning. Some tips to find a good CPA. Ask friends and PAWs you may know for references. You could try to call a university and speak to the faculty. Ask for names of successful students in this discipline. When you have some suggestions, perhaps choose the one with the most PAWs as clients. It may be useful to discover investment advisors, quality accountants, attorneys, investment counselors, or even attend some investment planning seminars. When looking for a financial advisor, it may be helpful to request the following: several references, a college transcript, a credit check, have multiple interviews with each candidate, and request documents attesting to their ability to perform their duties. And that's been my interpretation of The Millionaire Next Door. Thank you for coming to Reading Repository. Have a good one.